How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting. Welcome back to ReWrite, where things have gone a little out of hand, you could say. Like a lot out of hand. So there's a lot more validity, it seems, to this curse than I was saying from the beginning. I thought it was going to be some kind of gimmick, and frankly, that still could be the case. But from the minute, it feels very legitimate. Lucia is being horrifically tormented by this specter now, as well as every other person who seems connected to the story. Like, as soon as we started asking questions, it seems everybody who had anything to do with it in the past is experiencing weird glass-shattering phenomena. So, yeah, it's been really intense and very dark. Like, not just in like, oh, it's like dark and gloomy. It's more of like, kind of like terrifying, like true horror kind of experiences. And Lucia's really in a bad spot right now, so I'm hoping that Kotorou is going to be smart enough to go and check up on her. But I'm not too sure what to expect here. Yeah, so we pretty much just got confirmations, got sides of the story, and just really interesting about how, like, the curse wasn't even that much talked about when the initial kid who came to the class passed on. It seems that the curse really came into effect at the reunion that happened a few years later, when, like, the older student, the guy who was working at the cafe, went to investigate, and that's when all the crazy stuff went down, and that's when people started taking a curse as a curse. So what makes that interesting to me is it's like, why was it just kind of like a random story that was hardly even like a mention of anything beforehand, but then after it became actualized? Like, I guess I'm wondering why, if it is legitimately a curse based on that girl at the orphanage and the kid, like, why didn't the curse stuff start then? So yeah, it's just an odd thing. I'm sure will become relevant later, but right at the minute I have no guesses, nothing at all. So all right, let's jump right back into the story and see where it goes from here. Outside, the rain is pouring down with a nary a gust of wind. I open my umbrella and look back at the store, or rather its billboard. I sure hope it isn't going to fall on top of me or something. Suddenly, I realize I forgot something. The billboard didn't hit Baki out of the blue. Before that happened, the girl appeared and grabbed his arm. Uh-oh. Just as I hear those words, something from behind me suddenly grabs my arm holding the umbrella. The hand that grips me is freezing cold. Once I realize it, I feel a tingling pain, a similar sensation to touching dry ice. I immediately shake off the cold hand off and turn around. There. Whoa, 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 it's Lucia. It's just Lucia. There stands a girl. What the fetch? I picked a crazy spot to end, apparently. What the heck? A girl around middle-aged school age with her hair an old-fashioned bowl cut? No, it's already been 4 years. The girl should already be in high school. And her black hair tied up in a ponytail. Class rep? Okay, so maybe it is her. Like, either she's possessed by the girl, or maybe I was right way at the beginning. Like, I had this theory, like, what if this story was about Lucia? Like, what if Lucia actually had this power to, like, touch and corrupt things? Just from her appearance alone, she looks like class rep. She's wearing her school uniform. She didn't use an umbrella. She's soaking wet, but she's definitely class rep. Okay. But the light in her eye is completely different. Okay, so it is probably more like a possession type situation. Though she looks like class rep on the outside, she's definitely not the same person. That much I can tell in an instant. Finally, I spot the biggest difference from class rep. Her hands. Class rep has a pair of pure white gloves that she would never take off no matter what, but she's not wearing them. What I see right now are her bare hands, pale porcelain and immaculate. Her beautiful hair is soaked from the rain, stuck to her forehead and cheeks. Her visage is somber and, just as I was told, very creepy. Okay, well, this is a pickle. I genuinely don't know. Most of the time, I love being able to insert myself in the story. That's what I'm really good at. It's something I've always been very, like, it's part of why I love stories, is I've always been very good about not just, like, imagining the world of, like, the games and the books that I read, but I imagine myself being there in the shoes of either the main character or next to the main character, kind of an idea. Most of the time, I have an idea of what I wish I could do if I were in this situation. I genuinely don't know if I were standing in Kotorou's shoes right now, knowing everything I know, including, like, some of my future knowledge, you know, right? Like, I legitimately, like, have an advantage here. and I saw this, and she says this, and I know what I've learned so far, I genuinely don't know what I would do. My first instinct, my first gut instinct when I saw this and hear her say that is I would try and coax Lucia, or pseudo-Lucia, whatever's going on here, try to get her back home out of the rain. Not her place, like ours. Like, it's ironic because like that might sound creepy normally, but it's like, look, like, whatever's going on, she's not in a good spot. And the best thing we could do is get her somewhere where we, like, at least feel rather comfortable. And then next thing I would do is call Suzaru and be like, we have a problem. But that's it. Like, that's the best guess I got. And I have a feeling that's not going to fly. Do not wake me up. She repeats those words. There's no life in her voice, so I can immediately sense that something's just using her to speak. Something that isn't class rep. I don't believe in curses, but there is something I can say with conviction. Right now, she isn't Konohana Lucia. She's Asahi Haruka. So you're Asahi Haruka? Great. Good. Cool. Good. 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 I hear the sound of something bursting immediately after the shards of glass fall in a puddle of water. It's as if the answer to my question is in her stead. I was thinking it's about time that we met, really.
どうして私の眠りを覚まそうとするの?
First off, I'd argue you already are awake, considering the fact that you are aware, talking, and making things explode. She completely ignores me playing it cool. This girl's using class rep's body to ask me some questions. I wanted to perform the last rites for your little ghost story.
引導って何?
You know, all that stuff about being a cursed girl. Doesn't that upset you or anything? I don't really know much about you. Everyone pees their pants at the very mention of you, so they won't tell me anything. Still, there's something I learned about you after all my digging.
何?
Everyone talks about you like you're a freaking end of the world. But there isn't a single person who actually tried to really get to know you. They never ever met you. They made up all sorts of things, like you're nothing more than some dumb ghost story. The only one I don't know about is that Kishida Ryogo guy. Maybe you two knew each other? Anyway, none of the others know a thing about you. Not your face, not even your kanji characters for your name. That really pissed me off. Even though they never met her, they decided that she's some kind of evil being and talked crap about her. I don't know though, dude. Kind of get it a bit, shattering glass and all, but I like the sympathetic approach. It's a good idea. That's what the story felt like to me. I seriously can't take it lying down. Well, now that I mention it, just about all ghost stories are like that. Like Okiku from the Bansho Sarayashiki, or Miss Hanako from the toilet. Of course, no one's actually met them. I just can't accept it.
何の納得が?
It's because I know what happened to a girl you're possessing, Konohana Lucia.
はあ、この子の手が不潔とかいう話.
Don't you dare say that. All that crap about Clash Royale's hands being unclean or whatever, it's all BS. All those terrible kids just decided that on their own. It was just a string of bad luck. Some kid's cruel game of pinning it on her, calling her unclean. Still, Clash Royale was lucky. What happened to her back then ended at just that. Clash Royale was hurt deeply, so much that she refused to take those gloves off, but still, she was able to deal with those feelings herself. By the way, gotta say, the music right now is freaking bumping. Like, it's super, like, swelly and... wow. But you're different. Kishida Ryogo told everyone in Class 1-4 about it, and that caused it to become a ghost story. If I didn't know Class Rep as well as I do, I'd probably have written you off as a story that something happened pretty often, but now I wouldn't ever think that. I can tell. You were used as the kid's sacrifice for their cruel game, labeled as some cursed girl, the same as Class Rep. The girl stares back at me evenly, or rather, with eyes completely devoid of expression. It's as if she's seeing right through my eyes, straight into me, judging me somehow. Maybe I should be intimidated by this? But I'm not. God, it's really, the music is good. It's got a violin solo, which, by the way, if you don't know, I played violin all through junior high and high school. So I've always loved it. I have appreciation for it. And of the soundtracks we've heard so far, this is the one that has like the violin going through it. Whew! It's so good. You and Konohana Lucia are the exact same circumstances. Flowers that she touched just happened to wither, animals she touched just happened to die. Just because of a series of unlucky coincidences, Asahi Haruka was labeled a cursed girl. To put it simply, merely believing in a story is already an insult to Asahi Haruka. When I told Class Rep her story, she empathized with her because she saw herself in Asahi Haruka. However, the truth is different, I know that now. So Class Rep actually wasn't sympathizing with you. She was afraid. No one knows about Class Rep's past except Class Rep herself, and maybe Chizuru. Neither of them are talking about it, so I doubt anyone will ever find out either. To most Class Reps, white gloves are just a manifestation of her being a clean freak. Even if some people look at her weird, the real struggle is the one happening inside her. And if she can manage to overcome that, then she can take those gloves off anytime she wants. If she takes those gloves off, then she won't be bound by anything anymore. But now she's learned of a girl named Asahi Haruka, someone who was ostracized the same as she was, and is now talked of as a ghost story. That's why she's afraid. She was afraid that someone who knows her of her past might start spreading dumb rumors about her to others. She was afraid that a personal trauma of hers would be turned into a lasting story. For her to be free, she has to face and get over her trauma, and for that, she needs courage and time. But not only that, it has to be proof that she can overcome her misunderstandings, the label cruelly placed upon her. That's why I swore to prove this story wrong, not only for your sake, but for Class Reps.
やっとみんなが過去の話を忘れかけてくれた。
Ah. It almost had become a nothing story. Because it was just a story. And then the kid brought it back and started talking about it. And it made it become real again and like literally manifest as real. But ironically, if she hadn't manifested this and tried to scare everybody, it would have just died as some kind of joke.
なのにあなたがそれを再び起こしてしまった。
And you're okay with that? Aren't you just giving up? I still don't know much about you. All I can really say is that you and Class Rep had similar experiences. There are rumors that say you were cursed, a vampire. It's terrible. Are you saying you're okay with that? Of course you're not. The girl doesn't answer, but that's an answer in itself. You're not okay with it. How could you be? If you were, you wouldn't be telling me not to wake you up. Do not wake me up. What she means is that everyone already on the verge of forgetting about the innocent, or so I should leave it be. But that's akin to giving up. You know, up until when we started making calls, Class Rep said she'd fight together with me to fix this misunderstanding about you. She went out of her way to help me satisfy my curiosity. She probably thought that by helping me, she'd also be able to face her own past because she sees herself in you.
でも彼女は昨日あなたに電話した。
Yeah, now I understand why she changed so much. She was in shock. For Class Rep, Asahi Haruka was just another version of herself. She should have had the courage to correct the misunderstanding. But the other alumni told her just how messed up and scary the story really is. After hearing from so many, she must have lost heart. She must have thought that no matter how hard she tries, it won't be possible to clear someone's name, to tear off those labels of the past. If so, then the next best thing would be to leave it alone so she doesn't remember the pain. That would mean she'd rather keep on wearing those white gloves, shouldering that sadness all on her own. She probably felt the same as you do. That's why Class Rep spoke the same way you did last night. I may be a member of the Occult Research Society. I was just looking for something interesting, with just enough of the paranormal to write about it for the Harvest Festival's newspaper. I dug through letters and found out about you. At the time, I was probably one of those people that you hated. But midway through, I understood something. This isn't the slightest bit paranormal. People were just bad-mouthing and slandering you, using the occult as an excuse. I'm the kind of guy who'd never let that go.
余計なおせっかいよ。
Maybe I should, but when two girls are fighting, I don't turn a blind eye to that. How could I ignore someone getting bullied for no reason? He's so meddlesome and entitled, and yet it's okay. I'm going to clear the names of both Asahi Haruka and Konohana Lucia.
気持ちは嬉しいけれど、あなたは勘違いしている。
Yeah? About what? Ooh, that's
だって
creepy.
私、本当に呪われてるんだもの。
Up until now, she was staring at me blankly, but now, her lips have curled into an eerie grin. To me, though, it looks like an ordinary smile. A scornful one, perhaps? She must be bitter, doubtful that some guy like me can do something about the sadness that she's been burdened with. I understand how she feels, so well it hurts. And that doesn't just go for her. I know Konohana Lucia feels the same way too. I raise my voice in reply. You aren't cursed. This darn ghost story is tormenting you. The two of you. I'm gonna smash it apart.
Huh?
I'm sure everyone around you tormented you, telling you that you're cursed over and over again. Eventually, you began to believe that you really were cursed, or rather, you were driven into a corner, forced to believe it. Otherwise, your heart wouldn't be able to take it in. Interesting. So, like I said before, if you've never played the House of Fata Morgana, absolutely you should play it. It's fantastic. One of the greatest visual novels I've ever come across. Easily top 10. It's such a hard one to top. It's probably top 3 actually. But they actually play with a similar concept there. This idea that what is a curse really a curse, or is it a manifestation of a self-belief to where someone gets pushed over an edge to the point where they just start to believe the stories that they're told over and over again, and then it actually manifesting into something true, but it's based on a lie. And that's the thing that's really interesting about this type of story. It must have been difficult believing that everyone else is wrong and that you're the only one who's right. Wouldn't it be so much easier to convince yourself that you're the one mistaken, that everyone else is in the right? Being bullied like this, sometimes it's just less painful to accept it. It must have been the same for class rep. She wears those gloves 24/7, anxiously washing her hands repeatedly each day. But it's not because her hands are unclean. She must have been tired from the torrent of abuse, having her hands called unclean, leaving her no choice but to accept the label forced upon her. It must have been so much easier on her heart to just accept it, rather than fighting to correct everyone's misconceptions. Instead of fighting, it would be less painful to accept it instead. I understand that feeling all too well. But that's why, even if I don't know what happened to you, I'm gonna fight back. That's all the more reason not to accept it. Just because everyone says you're unclean or that you're cursed, you shouldn't just take that crap and pretend you aren't hurting inside. For the briefest of moment, the girl looks upset. Is it because I shouted? No, that's not why. It's because I finally understand the feelings that have been lying dormant within her. That emotion engraved on your heart isn't sadness, it's anguish. And if those feelings are still tormenting you, then I'll blow them away. I'm gonna tear apart that misconception that Asahi Haruka is cursed, that Konohana Lucia is unclean.
それがあなたにできると
He's so dumb, he makes you believe it because he's just like, I believe it. And they're like, what's your plan? I don't have one, but you can do it? Yes! Just fine, I'll just go with it, okay? Yeah, I swear I will. Asahi Haruka's curse is a load of crap, and I'm gonna prove that to everyone. The girl breaks off her stare. She shakes her head, ridiculing me. She laughs, not just in ridicule, but in astonishment. Perhaps she isn't even laughing at all. You don't believe me, do you?
ええ、そう。だからさっきから言っている。あなたは勘違いをしているわ。
Because I really am cursed. Suddenly, I hear explosions everywhere. The street lamps rupture one after the other. Yeah, I get it. I get it already, so stop that.
これをどう説明するの？これがまさに朝日はるかの呪いでしょ？
There's no such thing as curses.
これが呪いでなくてなんだと？あなたも頭に看板を食らわなきゃ理解できない？
It is a big, strong argument in her case that she can reference that specific event so well. The street lamp just above me shatters and fragments fall into a puddle in front of me. If the wind had been blowing in my direction, those shards would have fallen right onto my head, but I'm not scared. Just try me. I'm not going to admit it. I'm never admitting that some curse exists. You insist it does, and that's why I say it doesn't.
私が何を認めたと？
You shouldn't. Just give up. Don't yield to those jerks who said you're cursed. Don't just accept a ghost story when it's an insult to you. Don't just believe some sick joke that you're cursed. I'm gonna say it for you instead. I won't blame you for not having the courage to say it yourself. I'll say it for you. There's no way you're cursed. This is all just a farce, stupid story a bunch of bad kids came up with. If you can't do anything, then don't. I'll clear your name for you. I'll help you regain your honor. I'll be the one to save you. I raise my voice to force my message upon her. That must be what she wanted to shout herself deep inside. That's why I shout it in her stead. I know how anguished she feels. That's why I shout it out loud. Ah! I feel like he's right, but at the same time, it's amazing that he can kind of BS his way to the truth because, like, he's making so many assumptions here. Meanwhile, she stares blankly at me. Either she has no idea what I'm even talking about, or she's thinking of something else entirely. In any case, the atmosphere of fears she tried to create in order to threaten me and ending my investigation is entirely gone. All that remains is a girl drenched in rain without an umbrella, a sad girl who's even forgotten to cry. Just watch me. I'll put an end to this stupid ghost story.
あなたにそれができるの？
It's not that I can. I will. I'll blow this thing wide open. You can bet on that. That's right, laugh. I'll do it anyway. I'll save you, and that'll save Konohana and Lucia. All because I have my own. Because I have to be the meddling kid. Blame your luck for having crossed my path.
あなたの身の回りで何が起ころうとも、すべては偶然だと？
Yeah, no matter how many bulbs blow out.
バカな男。呪いだろうと偶然だろうと、私に近づく者はみんな死ぬのに。
Don't accept that as a fact. It's all bullcrap that these kids made up about you. For your sake, I will never ever accept that.
なら、あなたは好きにしたらいい。
Heck yeah, I'll do what I please.
でも、よく覚えておいて。多分、これが言葉で伝える最後の忠告。
What do you mean?
落ちてくる看板は、呪いであっても偶然であっても、当たったらあなたは大怪我をする。
I figured as much.
そして、あなたの腕を今、災難でいるその痛みも。
Actually, it has been kind of painful this entire time. The arm that she grabbed, to be specific. I can just tell this is going to leave a scar. There'll be a hand-shaped scar left, just like with Baraki's arm.
私が確かに忠告した証を見て、もう一度頭を冷やしたらいい。そして、次は忠告では済まないことにも気づくといい。
Well, we've done it now. I feel like he might actually have a chance because, like, the idea is that this curse is an actualization of a manifestation of a belief. Like this idea that like enough people believing in something starts to make it become a kind of reality. Ironically, there is a level of truth to that, not to this level, but like collective consciousness can become a thing, at least on a societal level for sure. And then there's the quantum level stuff, which is really fascinating. The idea that by making observations or predictions about things, it alters the actual outcome of events that would happen in nature, which is crazy. But putting all that aside, I do think it's very odd that like we're gonna have to somehow like muddle our way through a truth that we manifest in spite of all these really pretty bizarre, crazy things that are actually happening, you know? But I like his gumption, I like his chutzpah. Bring it on. I'm just doing this stuff on my own. I'll take full responsibility for everything, so keep Konohana and Lucia out of this. She's already backed out. You just sit back and watch me, so scram! Before that though, one last thing I have to say to you. I'm gonna save you, period.
無駄なこと。
With those words, she closes her eyes. She loses all tension in her body as if she's fainting from anemia. Hey, Lucia. I rush over and catch her limp body. Are you okay? Class rep. I speak to her, but there's no reply, because she's out cold. At the very least, she's not Asahi Haruka anymore. She's my friend and the class representative, Konohana Lucia. She's probably freezing cold. Just how long has she been in the rain? Her body's chilled to the core. I put my umbrella away and carry class rep on my back. She's soaked, honestly. It's more than cold than the weight that bothers me. Dang it. Asahi Haruka. There's some things called umbrellas, you know. Is she even listening, though? She's probably somewhere near. Very near. Whatever. I said it out loud precisely so she'd hear me. With class rep on my back, I make my way home. I can't just leave her alone when she's this cold. I agree, man. This was the right call. It sounds creepy, but it's absolutely the right call. I am somewhere. I have just a vague idea of where. There's that distinct smell of disinfectant mixed together with the smell of dust and emptiness. Feels more like a school's infirmary than a hospital. I can hear pained breathing. The sound is hot, delirious, anguished. She's probably suffering a fever.
急にはるかちゃんがすごい熱を出しちゃって。
The girl lies on the infirmary bed, her consciousness wavering as she stares up at the ceiling. She must feel that the medicine in the first aid box isn't helping. She's explaining that to someone who looks like a doctor. Who is that woman? She doesn't look close enough to be a parent, but to call her a stranger would be too distant. Anyway, for now it's easiest to imagine her as a school teacher. So Lucia is experiencing her memories.
大丈夫よ。すぐにお医者様が来てくださるそうだからね。
Oh, so she said she's not a parent, but she's more like a school teacher. I'm guessing this is like someone who works at the orphanage.
暑い。暑い。
She reaches out into the air, assaulted by the fever. The woman gently holds the girl's hand.
本当にひどい熱。かわいそうに。
冷たくて気持ちいい。
Wait, don't touch my hand.
お医者様が来るまでずっと先生がいますからね。しっかり。
The girl weakly opens her hand. The woman gently brings her hand to her cheek to bring the girl some reassurance.
ダメ。私みんな汚いって。
汚くなんてないわよ。はるかちゃんの手、綺麗よ。
先生のほっぺ。冷たくて。
かわいそうに。こんなに手が熱い。
Don't, not my hand. By the afternoon, the lady's cheek had slowly turned dark. By evening, her fever had grown worse than mine. Then, before my very eyes, she stopped breathing. In her last moment, she shook and shook until she stopped moving entirely. It all happened in moments, while the doctor was busy taking a call. Even though they called a doctor to look after me, he ended up caring for the lady in her final moments instead. She passed away, with her cheek purple and terribly swollen. Those who saw her visage were disturbed by its odd shape, the imprint of a hand clearly left behind.
私が触れるとみんな死ぬの。ひまわりが枯れるとか、金魚が死ぬとか。私は違う。違わない。
Whatever we touch, will die.
私たちが殺してるわけじゃない。殺したくて殺したわけじゃない。私たちはただ触れようとしただけなのに。
それは私だって同じだよ。私だって殺したくて触れたことなんてない。
Honestly, for Haruka,
触れると死ぬの。
for Haruka, it almost feels more like a really aggressive disease. Like conceptually, there are diseases that like can infect, spread, and shut down your organs very, very quickly. These diseases, while rare, don't tend to spread very fast because your symptoms manifest so quickly you're not likely to spread it. It can just kind of happen. That sounds more like what happened with Haruka. She got a disease that was just rare and horrifically strong, and so for a limited time, it seemed like whoever she touched just died. But it was like because of a disease. Like that's a very real thing. It's scary, but it's a real thing. It's just super rare because of how intense that is. It has to be a very specific type of mutation. It's what we're all terrified of a real like pandemic. Okay, well to be fair, like the something like COVID was a real pandemic, but like what's really scary is that it wouldn't be too difficult with the technology we have now to take something like COVID, like an actual virus that is very spreadable, hard to detect, and very very easy to like transmit, and tweak it so that it kind of sits dormant and spreadable for a few weeks and then becomes lethal. Like to just general people. Like what made COVID scary was the fact that like people who were vulnerable, who had pre-existing conditions, especially like lung conditions or heart conditions, were susceptible to making those conditions suddenly very much worse very quickly. But what if the disease was exactly the same, with the same spread rate, but it could shut down healthy organs. It could shut down people who are in the picture perfect health, and it could still drop you. That's the really scary thing, is that what if someone makes that? What if someone designs that? Because the thing is, like, that's not too impossible. In fact, it'd be easier to make that than it would be to make a true AI. And I feel like we keep creeping closer and closer to true AI. It's like, just, there's reality for you. life is scary, and the question becomes like, will we develop the means to keep ourselves from killing ourselves before we develop a really effective method of killing ourselves? We don't touch them to kill. They happen to die when we touch them.
それは彼らが私たちを受け入れられないということ。
私たちを受け入れられない。
そう。来たるべき世界を彼らは受け入れられないということ。
They won't be accepted by the world to come. They will all end up dead, even without us doing anything.
未来は私たちのもの。いいえ、違う。未来を受け入れられるのは私たちだけ。
Now it's weird because she's almost talking about like a different event, almost like an upcoming apocalypse. That's separate from this condition.
あなたは何を言ってるの？
私たちは来たる世界の新しい卵。そして希望。
Weird. We are the eggs of hope, sleeping in wait for the coming world. We eggs should sleep peacefully until then. So don't wake us up. Weird. What a weird point of view to have. Hey, Lucia. I hear a squeal come from my bed. Looks like class rep's up. I fill my visitor's mug with a cafe au latte. Cafe au latte? I'm guessing it's supposed to be like a cafe latte. And head over to her. You up? How do you feel?
天王寺。ではここはお前の家なのか？
Yeah, funny story that. You remember anything? You collapsed right in front of the giant parfait place. Her eyes glaze over as she makes a gesture that suggests she's combing through her memories. She seems like her memories are a blur, like I expected.
今朝具合が悪くて起きられなくて。後のことは何も覚えていない。
You were absent today, and it's already evening, by the way.
そうなのか。
Her groggy eyes look up at the clock. Her body's internal clock is probably pretty off from the actual time. Maybe it's because she's still out of it, but she doesn't look particularly shocked. You were just standing outside all zoned out without an umbrella. Hope you didn't catch a cold or anything.
割に丈夫だ。問題ない。
Can you take a coffee?
苦いのは苦手だ。
Relax, it's got milk and sugar. I place the mug on the table beside her. She sits up in the bed and takes it. The blanket falls off her, exposing her porcelain skin and ivory underwear. Right, it makes sense that we wouldn't keep her in her clothes, but that's still very weird. Don't get the wrong idea. You were absolutely drenched. I didn't want you to catch a cold or anything. So, her uniform was so wet that you could wring out all the water. Of course, I couldn't just leave her in those clothes, so I had to take them off to be safe. I mean, he's right, and it's not as creepy as it sounds, but at the same time, it's a very awkward thing to explain to somebody. I considered dressing her up in pajamas, but going that far in an unconscious girl felt indecent, so I just wrapped her up in blankets and put her to bed. I thought she would turn red and lose her temper, but her expression remains blank. Anyway, just drink some. I'll go get you something to wear. Interesting.
昨夜、私の前に朝日はるかが現れていった。
It is really weird, like, genuinely. She's been so sensitive. I mean, the whole plate licking thing. And now she's literally in our house, in her underwear, in our bed. She doesn't remember how she gets there. And she just kind of takes that in stride? That's so interesting. What did she say?
呪われた少女という呼び名は、おめえでも悪口でもなく、事実なのだと。
I heard the same earlier.
天王寺のところにも、あの少女が。
Yeah, about that. She possessed you, even. That's why I left you soaked. That's what she left you soaked in the rain in the first place.
朝日はるかは、なんと。
In the end, she told me just to do whatever I wanted. Yeah. I hear a burst. My room grows just a little darker. Seems the one of our flashing bulbs shattered. Heh. What? You telling me you didn't say that? I'm joking around, but that sound seems to have frightened class rep. Don't worry, I figured this would happen, so I already prepped some spare bulbs.
ずっと朝日はるかの夢を見ていた気がする。その夢の中の私は私でなくて、 はる
Dressed in a t-shirt that I brought out for her, class rep recalls the dream she just had.
そこは多分彼女がいたと言われてる。彼女は高熱を出して寝込んだ。それを多分養護の先生なんだと思う。若い女性が看護していた。朝日はるかの手を抱いて、その手に頬を押し当てていた。彼女を安心させるために。
Now it's interesting because so in the memory, like when she had this condition and she touched her cheek and then like that part turned black and swelled up and then she died, right? But that's interesting because like it's almost like she tries to mimic that on other people, but she grabbed like what's his name and left a mark on his arm that left like a kind of a scar, but that was more of like a cold touch thing, right? And he didn't die. Again, like it's like odd that they're so inconsistent. That she's like, "Oh, I'm cursed," but it's like it's very clear that like whatever is happening is very different. And like I said, like what it sounds like before, it sounds like a very rare disease that Haruka. Well, it doesn't even sound like she actually survived. She probably didn't, but she was able to fight it off long enough that she ended up accidentally spreading it. And like that is what ended up bringing everyone down. But it's like it's a disease. Weird. Then her cheek ended up with a hand-shaped mark? I turn my back to class rep as she talks so that she doesn't see me check the arm that Asahi Haruka grabbed. If I concentrate on it, it does feel a little painful. And on it is a clear purple mark in the shape of a hand. The dream of Asahi Haruka the class rep is talking about, it's probably real. The caretaker got some kind of mark that I have. In fact, she might have had it much, much worse than I did. The mark I got is no more than a warning. I suppose she would have left it at only this level of pain. But if she wants it any further, it might actually have been life-threatening. If her words come to mind once more. Because I really am cursed.
私が触れるとみんな死んじゃう。朝日はるかは私にそう言った。
Well, that's the thing. We have evidence that's not true. People die eventually, one way or the other.
私たちは朝日はるかのことを誤解されている少女だと思って助けようとしてきたが、ひょっとしたら本当に彼女の言う通り、私たちが勘違いしているということはないのだろうか。
Don't put any stock in that. Glassref gets off my bed, completely unfazed at how I can see her undies, and she walks over to one of the plants I have on the veranda. She opens the glass door to the veranda. The sound of rain and the breeze enter the room. Approaching the veranda filled with leaves, she pulls off a single one. Without saying a word, she holds it in front of me for me to see clearly.
私たちは朝日はるかのことを、呪われた少女なんかじゃないと証明したくて調査を始めた。
Alright, let's see how valid your claims here are, class rep. Yeah, that's right.
でも、もしも彼女が
Then this investigation to clear her name would have the opposite effect. It would only prove that she truly is cursed. As if curses really exist.
私も最初はそう思ってた。そしたら彼女は言った。
Also, are we gonna casually just talk about, like, first of all, like, I understand, like, this is whatever. Look, like, she's recovering and she's, like, it's essentially, like, this is like a homemade hospital gown, right? Here's the other thing to think about, too. She doesn't wearing her gloves. We had to, like, handle her, like, I imagine that our skin touched her skin. We're not dead yet. Right? We should be fine. She should be fine. I'll show you what it means to have the same curse as me. Ah. Fetch. The leaf she's holding in front of me gradually wilts and darkens. Like a newspaper tossed into a fire, the leaf curls and cracks as it withers into nothing. It only takes moments. Finally, it crumbles and falls to the floor. What just...
私の手、昨夜からおかしいんだ。花に触れると本当に枯れる。
This is problematic. It's hyper enforcing her already like very troubling psychosis issue, like her fear. Now it's become real because of this girl. With all the strange occurrences happening one after the other, I'd grown accustomed to them. The light bulb popping earlier? Thought that Asahi Haruka was just throwing around another of her tantrums. But this... Class rep's hands, they're really making the plant wither.
大鳥さんがくれた花もこうして枯れたんだ。
Tears flow freely from her eyes. How dare you, Asahi Haruka? You turned our nightmares into reality. Not only that, but you're rubbing it in my face that I was wrong all along, that the curse does exist. Which means Asahi Haruka is actually cursed. Damn you, Asahi Haruka. So this is your reply to me? Oh my god.
天王寺は心が優しいから、朝日遥が呪われた少女と呼ばれて、いじめられていると思い、親切心でこの調査を始めたんだろう。私だってそうだった。
But the truth is, she really is cursed, and the story is true? And when things finally settled down with everyone involved went silent, my mix-up stirred the pot, is that it?
私にはわからない。でも、私の手は、もう、本当に、汚くて。
What is happening? At a glance, her hands look normal with clear porcelain white skin. But right now, when she touches flowers, they wilt, and if she touches a person, it leaves a mark. And the kind of mark, it's the same as the one on my arm. You mean to say the curse of your hands? Is that a threat from Asahi Haruka? Do not wake me up, eh? She really meant that. Damn. I suppose we'd be barking up the wrong tree if we were angry at her. From the very beginning, the ghost story about her was all true. That's why she's just waiting for the rumors to die down on their own. Except I got everything all wrong and stirred up the pot. So everything is my fault.
私はそうは思ってない。天王寺のいじめを許さない気持ちには共感できた。
Actually, technically, it's the fault of whoever put the letter in the box to begin with. Who did that? But because I did all those things that nobody asked for, can't imagine the damage I caused with all the broken glass and light bulbs. I even brought up the traumatic memories of the alumni of Class 4-1 when they were so close to forgetting, and more than that, your hands. Damn it! You're playing dirty, real freaking dirty, Asahi Haruka. Why would you cast that curse on Class Rep? Why not me?
だって天王寺は自分に何があっても意見を曲げない男だろう。
I don't think that was written right. You are not a man whose principles will never change, no matter what happens. I think it should say, "Are you not a man whose principles will never change?" Oh, okay. So she just said it in a weird way. Never mind. When I read it back, it does make sense. Okay, sucks to admit it, but that's probably why. Even when the light bulbs in my house started popping one by one, they did nothing but get me even more fired up. Attacking someone close to me like this way is way more effective. I quit. I claw my hair in frustration over and over and then declare it out loud to the girl who I bet is looking down on us as we speak. I quit! I quit already! I surrender! You hear me, can't you, Asahi Haruka? You win! So just please, turn Class Red's hands back to normal.
天王寺。
I expect another light bulb to explode or reply. But this time there isn't any kind of reply. What the hell? Say something! I said I quit already! That you win! I give up already, so just turn Class Red's hands back to normal. How are your hands? Are they better?
わからない。
I tear off another leaf from the plants on the veranda. I thrust into Class Rep in fear. She steps back, refusing to take it from me. God, I hate myself for being so insensitive. Take it! Sorry.
気にするな、天王寺小太郎。私はこれまでと何も変わらないんだ。ずっと手袋をして、毎日手を洗って、誰にも触れないようにして。
God, no, I don't accept that.
手も握らない。肩も抱かない。ジュースの回し飲みなんてできないし、私が口にした食器を他人に触れさせるなんてとんでもない。
You know, in hindsight now, that makes so much more sense why she hated us licking her plate, even the concept of it.
だって触れたら枯れてしまうかもしれない。殺してしまうかもしれない。これまでと何も変わらないんだ。
God, I'm angry. I'm genuinely getting angry. That's like, this is bullcrap.
だから辛くなんて
Yeah, right. Doesn't hurt.
私は
No, you're not.
汚れてるんだ。不潔なんだ。
Quit it, class rep. Just stop.
猫を抱けないから大鳥さんと喧嘩した。花に触れられないから男子たちと喧嘩した。私をいいえ、私たちを受け入れることのできる人なんて。
Oh yeah, you bet.
人だけじゃない。草木も動物も人間もこの世界のすべてが私たちを受け入れてくれないんだ。私は
Aww.
誰にも触れられずたった一人で
Stop it! Look, it's my fault. Quit saying something so sad.
お前にはわからない。私の悲しみも朝日はるかの苦しみもわからない。生涯誰にも触れ合うことなく一人で孤独に生きていかなければならない。触れれば悲しし殺すこんな私たちを、こんな私たちを世界の誰が受け入れてくれると言うんだ。
This idiot!
誰も受け入れられない。
Class rep. I can't think of anything to say to class rep as she cries her heart out. At the least, I want to help soothe her wounded heart. I reach out to her, but she sharply rejects me.
触るな。今の私に触れたらきっと天王寺の指もきっと紫に染まって腐り落ちてしまうかもしれない。死んでしまうかもしれない。
Oh, crap. I wasn't paying attention. Thanks to our heated exchange, class rep sees the hand-shaped mark on my arm. Her eyes widen like saucers, her lips quiver. Asahi Haruka is the one who grasped my arm, but at the same time, it's class rep's hand that touched me. But more importantly, she now realizes the mark is something that she left on me. Don't worry about this. It's probably just got gripped really hard. It'll go away in time. That's me! Gosh darn it. It's so stupid. I hate this. Look, it'll be gone before you know it. Don't worry about it. Just forget it.
消えない夢の中の先生もその朝が晴れ上がって死んじゃった。天王寺も死んじゃう。きっと死んじゃう。
I'm not dying. Like hell, I'm gonna be pushing daisies over something like this.
もし死んだら私のせいだ。私のせいだ。そんなことがあったら私はもう一生誰にも触れませんから。誰かに頭を撫でられたいとか肩を抱かれたいとか
Aww.
手をつなぎたいとかそんなこと一生もう絶対に夢を見ないから。
God, that's all she wanted. She just wanted to be close to someone. Dang it.
だからもう私たちを
You don't know us very well, do you? Class rep falls to the floor, sobbing weakly. The hand I offered, or the words I'm speaking, none of it can get through to her, or perhaps them. Meanwhile, the mark on my arm continues to throb with pain. The fact that my arm recognizes that pain means that my body is spurning their existence as well. And that is truly mortifying. Just why does this mark still remain? Why does my body react this way? I'm frustrated how weak I am for getting marked just by having my arm grabbed. We're gonna go a little longer because I gotta see what happens here. The next day, class rep returns to school. She's wearing her white gloves just like always, but she somehow seems sadder than usual.
おはよう、委員長。具合大丈夫？だいぶ辛そうですね。無理しないで今日も休めばいいのに。
Her expression is somber. She probably looks really sick to anyone who doesn't know what happened last night. Kotorou and the others express their worry for her health, but class rep just coldly ignores them. No, it's like she can't even hear them. Do her hands still make flowers with her? I already stopped my investigation, so I'd really like to believe that Asahi Haruka already lifted the curse on her. But to test that, I'd have to force class rep to touch those flowers again. And just hope they don't wither. But if they do still, then the cruel reality of that might completely break class rep's heart. That means it'll be just as she said, that nothing will ever change for her the rest of her life. She would have to live with fear of touching anything. Class rep would have to continue living like a germaphobe like she always has. No, it might still be okay if it were just her hands. I heard a cracking sound, but it's nothing. But it's not another light bulb popping. Chihaya tried to touch class rep's forehead to check her temperature, but she slapped her hand away.
不潔だから。私に触るな。
ああ、そうですか。それはすみません。ちょっと、ちーちゃん、委員長も、ダメだよ、仲直りしたのに。
Everything's back to square one. Chihaya tried to understand class rep, and get her to open up and get along with her. She tried to help class rep overcome her painful past, but all that is gone. We're back where we started. Chihaya gets upset at class rep. Kotorou steps in between the two to mediate, but class rep simply rejects everyone and retreats into her shell. Looking at the situation, it's even worse than how their relationship was before I meddled in it. Just, what did I even do these past few days? It was all for nothing. If only I didn't get involved with Asahi Haruka.
どうなってやがる。あいつら仲直りしたはずじゃなかったのか。
Yoshino, I'm sorry.
ああ
About Asahi Haruka, stuff happened. I have to drop the investigation. He probably never imagined me, of all people, saying that. Though Yoshino's eyes grow wide at what I just told him, he quickly returns to sullen expression and shrugs.
ま、それで正解だぜ。世の中には本物の呪いってのが存在するってことも分かっただろうが。
I'm still not gonna admit they exist, just stuff happened and I have to drop it. I'm not stopping because I chickened out.
どうだかな。
Even my response is weak. Dropping the investigation because I gave in to Asahi Haruka's blackmail. It's pretty much the same as anyway.
こんなことなら、てめえに連絡網なんか貸すんじゃなかったぜ。
It really helped out though, thanks.
懐かしき俺のフレンドたちはどうだった？みんな元気そうだったか？
Yeah, if I didn't bring up Asahi Haruka anyway. Oh right, there was this one guy I couldn't contact. Told me the number I dialed wasn't in service.
ああ、和田か。あいつは最近引っ越したからな。どうする？引っ越し先の新居にまで電話してみるか。
I bet too late for that. Besides, I already dropped my investigation into Asahi Haruka. Nah, I'm good. I already quit. No point calling when all they're gonna do is scream about it's my fault the glass broke or something.
違いね。
Yoshino smirks, condescendingly almost, and quickly turns his back to me. He leaves me with no other companion but the sleepy view of the dreary classroom. The only thing out of the ordinary is class rep and Chihaya having another quarrel. Actually, I suppose that's the norm until just recently. It's time to stop meddling with Asahi Haruka or class rep. Just had to stick my nose in and make a mess of everything. The purple mark that Asahi Haruka engraved on my arm continues to throb even now, as if to admonishing me for what I've done. God, I hate this! No! Even after the whole night, the color hasn't faded at all. After 4 whole years, Baraki's mark is still there too. This one will probably be with me for the rest of my life. All I can do is hope and pray a class rep will one day take those gloves of hers off. Class rep's upset, already on the verge of tears as she quarrels with Chihaya. The other girls who jump into the fray only serve to upset her by trying to touch her. Class rep lashes out at them, adding more fuel to the fire.
私を受け入れることなんて誰にもできないんだ。だから構うな。私に構うな。
Why would you say something so sad? Before I realized that I find myself fiddling with my phone, checking my call history. Listening in a rapid succession on the numbers of Class 4-1 alumni. Nah, there's no way, right? There's just one other thing that's on my mind. Even though I already told Asahi Haruka I gave up, I swear my stubborn side almost got the better of me. Still, let's just check that one last thing out. Then I'll be it. Okay. I think we'll end here. Because maybe there's hope. Maybe there's one last thing that we're gonna be able to do that kind of come to a conclusion of some kind. But fetch me, man. I kind of didn't need this today. I was in a good mood. I was feeling happy. I'd had a fairly productive weekend. And now this. My gosh. This is a lot. And it sucks too, because it's like, I don't know what I would do. Most of the time in these types of stories, like, granted, like, they're extreme circumstances and crazy things, but usually I have this idea in my head where I'm like, oh yeah, like, I think we should go in this direction, or maybe we should look into this lead, or maybe we should take this action. It's like, 9 times out of 10, I have my own ideas, even if they're terrible ideas, like, they're my own. But here, I'm flummoxed. I have no idea what I would do. It's... like, I don't know. You know, the next thing that I can think of is, like, Prez, like... not class president, sorry, Akane, like, you talk to Akane about some of this evidence and be like, the withering leaf, because she's always been a grounded person. Now, I know that we're technically on the Lucia path, so maybe, like, everything's going to be just hyper-focused on Lucia, which is why we aren't thinking of doing that, but I feel like she might be able to offer some kind of insight. Maybe even, like, use resources to do some real studies or something. Take a biopsy of the wound on our arm and see if there's anything weird about it. Like, something, right? Like, that's the only direction I can really think of taking this. And I'm not sure that it's going to take that path. So we'll have to see. But this was a brutal episode, man. This hurt. This hurt a lot. So I'm going to have to go take a breather. I hope you enjoyed it, though. Like, being able to share in the journey and kind of hearing my reaction and thoughts to the whole situation. And, you know, obviously there's more to look into, but right now it feels like we're at a real literal stalemate. There's just literally, like, there's literally nothing that we can do. And I don't want to feel like I can't accept that, but I'm just at a loss. Besides Akane, I really don't know any other direction we could take this. So hopefully we get something. Hopefully something comes out of this. Maybe if we push a little harder, maybe if we look a little closer, maybe if we get it, and maybe we could look at the orphanage. Maybe like the history of the orphanage can pull some, like, shed some light on the whole situation and really help us understand what's actually happened. So yeah, we'll have to see. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel, for being a part of all of this, for sharing this journey with me, and, you know, being here. I guess the last thing I keep thinking about is the fact that, like, so if her touching things with her hand makes them, like, die, how were we able to, like, carry her through the rain to, like, you know, like, get her, like, it sounds crazy, but to get her undressed and warmed up, you know, to prevent her from getting sick? Like, shouldn't we be dead already if that's all the case? I don't know, like, there's just something still so, like, I can't accept what, like, they're saying, obviously, and I'm sure there's more to it, but, like, I just have no idea what. I'm absolutely, like, flabbergasted at this. But anyway, enough. I'm done. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great day. Thank you to the patrons and members. New patron cast is out for you. If you didn't see the link, make sure to check it. It's in the Discord under the patrons and members section, or there should be a community post that's for members only that you should be able to see and access. So hopefully you enjoy it. It's a nice little insight to what's going on. I showcase some of, like, the fun little stuff I've got in my studio. So yeah, thank you so much. And until next video watching me, I've seen me next. I'll see you there.